creates a campus dialogue.
I think students need to revel in this time.
Freedom is actually our ability to do the good.
College campuses is where students really form their ideas.
Students are the leaders of tomorrow, whether they want to admit it or not. They're in the intellectual elite. And if they don't learn how to express themselves now, I feel they're not going to be equipped as much with the ability to express themselves later.
It's very important, especially here, because you want to be able to shape your experience on campus. We have an opportunity to make changes to policies, sponsor programming for students to be more aware of what's going on in the world, as well as in the community, as well as on campus. It's very important, too, that freedom of speech is exercised on campus, because we're here to learn about being better citizens. And part of that is being able to exercise our right to be able to speak freely. So looking towards your university administration to promote freedom of speech on campus is essential to getting the well-rounded education.
Your college years are times of self-discovery, of change, of experimentation, and so on and so forth. And I think there's no better place for you to be introduced to unpopular and controversial ideas and opinions than on a college campus. And I think they should be brought out. I think they should be studied, discussed, and so on, rather than brushing them under the rug or shifting them off into a corner and pretending that they don't exist. Now is the time for college students to really get involved in some of these things and help develop their own points of view regarding them.
The fact that people are exposed to all viewpoints, despite them being a little extreme, maybe. You know, the extremes form the paradigm, and you need the extremes to get the mediums to seem logical. So, puts everything in perspective.
I think college universities in particular are very important because they train students to become citizens later in life. If we don't exercise our rights to voice an opinion about the government now, I fear that students won't be empowered later in life when their contribution is really necessary for the functioning of a democracy.
Especially today, freedom is thought of more as my right to do anything, where I think freedom is actually our ability to do the good. So I think really just taking that into account and celebrating the beautiful things, and I think the vulgarity or ugliness of life, if it's not shown for the purpose of we need to do something about it to change it, I think is actually a negative.
I think that a standard negative effect of unrestricted freedom of speech is the notion that people are going to get offended, and that just happens. But I think that right now in our society we're very sensitive to that, and so I think that on a college campus, you know, we need to be kind of careful with that. I don't want to say students are consumers, but you know, you want to try to keep everybody safe and happy and things like that. So people will be offended, and that's just kind of how it goes. And so we kind of need to negotiate between taking it too far, but still having an environment where we have open speech.
In those situations, it can cause tension, violence, eruption, or even disrupt the flow of the campus culture. So as much as we want to fight for our freedom of speech, we want to make sure that we're not hurting others with no reason when we're exercising the right.
What frightens me about free speech zones, if you say, and this is the part of a right, anytime you have a right prescribed by government, you also have the corollary, what's not the right. As soon as the government says you have a right to do this, it's also saying, but you don't have a right to do that other thing. And so when I think of free speech zones, I wonder, is the rest of the campus not a free speech zone? If free speech is allowed here, does it mean it's not allowed 20 feet over here?
I can see how they might be helpful if they provide a place for people to express opinions that would not otherwise be expressed. But then the backside of that is it almost institutionalizes the fact that you can't be controversial at other places on campus.
I think students should revel in it.